So why exactly did we buy a property in the Southern Gulf Islands, and what is it about this part of BC that is so special?
Thanks for joining us on this video today. I'm Steph.
I'm Katie.
This is
Theo.
Theo.
You can see him. And we are a married lesbian couple from Vancouver, Canada, and the creators of Let's See the World. Welcome if you are new here, and whether you're new here or not, make sure you're also following us on Instagram. That is where our main audience is. And most of our time is spent on Instagram, and that is why we haven't poured as much time into YouTube here. So make sure you're following us on Instagram and come say hi over there. So let's dive into it. So we have been getting a lot of questions about why the Gulf Islands in BC, and so we wanted to do a whole video just about the Southern Gulf Islands, what they are, what makes them so special, and why ultimately we decided to buy our property there.
In short, it's a very magical place. I think I've said that before, but that is honestly the best way to describe it. People are so friendly, so nice, so welcoming. It's such a tight-knit community.
Yeah.
It is a very small... In general, all the islands have a very small population, but everyone is just very much a part of the community. And unlike a lot of smaller towns and rural areas and things like that, it is a very progressive place.
Yeah.
Probably the most in Canada. BC in general is the most progressive province in Canada, if you're not up on your Canadian politics.
Yeah.
And the Gulf Islands actually are the first and one of the only voting districts to have voted in a Green Party as a member of parliament.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So that's one of the things we've always loved, obviously, is just, yeah, our values are really just aligned with the Gulf Islands, and every time we go, we just feel, I don't know, at home there. And so it's just the place we've always kind of imagined ourselves. And the fact that it is so different from our life here in the city, because as we said, we have always considered ourselves city people and we love city life, but as we get older, we just really enjoy kind of that balance and being able to get out of the city, to be out in nature, to have some quiet, have some space, everything like that. We also live in like one of the most expensive cities in the world, and we know that we'll never like own a big house here in Vancouver.
So it's a place to have some space.
Yeah, it's a place to have some space, but that's like close enough that we can get to it from the city and like be able to have that balance. So those are a lot of the things that attracted us. And yeah, to give you an idea of like what the Gulf Islands are like and like how small they are, the population sizes. In the Southern Gulf Islands specifically, I think the smallest island, it's like less than 500 people. A lot of them
permanent residents.
Permanent residents,
yeah. There are people that have vacation homes and things like that.
Right.
But permanent, live there year-round residents, less than 500.
Yeah, which is obviously so tiny. Yeah. Some of the other ones, it's maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 people, and then I think the biggest one, it's more than 10,000 people. But yeah, they're all really small, really tight-knit communities, and just like such a huge difference from like city living.
Yeah, in general, I would say all of the Southern Gulf Islands have a really big like artist community. So it's a lot of, you know, interesting, quirky people who are just really unique and really like caring. And even all of the Southern Gulf Islands have had their own pride festivals, which is so cool. So even places with like less than 500 people living there, they still have a pride parade and a pride celebration, and it's like the entire island goes out to celebrate, which is so cool.
Yeah, that's always obviously a consideration for us as well, especially leaving the city. We want to make sure it's somewhere that we feel like safe and welcomed as a queer couple, and that's something that's so nice about the Gulf Islands, is that it really is just like so welcoming, so accepting. We've always felt right at home, super comfy, just like being ourselves, and that's something that's really important to us too.
Yeah. So as you can imagine, for a place that has voted a Green Party candidate into Parliament, they are very eco-conscious, very environmental. Because the Gulf Islands are fairly remote, resources are of course limited, so things like water and power and all of those things are quite scarce and well protected. In general, the islands are very well protected. They're not overdeveloped or anything like that. There are a lot of provincial and national parks that are protected spaces, wildlife are protected, things like that. So people who live there are very, very respectful of the environment, which is so cool. Things like your typical services that you'd have in the city, like garbage removal and stuff like that. A lot of the islands don't actually have that, so
it's like a pack in, pack out.
Exactly.
Sort of thing.
Yeah. Any guests to the area are asked to pack in, pack out. Meaning take all your garbage and recycling and things with you when you leave. Kind of leave no trace type thing. And for residents, people have basically become accustomed to getting really good about limiting the amount of garbage that they produce. So composting is huge. A lot of people have gardens on their property and they do their own composting right on their property. And then
doing a burn barrel.
Burn barrels are also another thing. So people will separate their garbage into compost, burnable, and then like non-burnable, and try to limit the non-burnables as much as possible, because there is a fee for that garbage collection. Basically, it's a guy in a truck that comes and picks up your garbage and like charges you per bag
to take it off. Yeah. It's so different.
Yeah.
It's so different than living in the city. I mean, we've always kind of lived in cities. The most like rural we ever went was when we were in Niagara Falls, which is still very much like in the suburbs. So it's so different, but I think we're really drawn to just like the simplicity of it, and just like, I don't know, I really like the idea of having a big compost and a garden and all these things, and just like, like having this like simple way of living when we're out there, and then just having that sort of be balanced with our life here.
Yeah, it really gives you an appreciation for the beauty of the area too. I think when everyone is so respectful of the place that they live in, it adds to the magical nature of it all.
Yeah, and along with just sort of this respect for like the land and respect for the nature, there also just seems to be a lot of like respect for your neighbors and respect for this community, and it's like very community oriented, which I love, because living in the city, we've talked about this a lot, and even like since the pandemic, it does just sort of feel so like isolating in a way, and like people in the elevator in your building don't even like say hi anymore. Like everyone's just got so used to being isolated that like, I don't know, being in the city, it almost just feels, it doesn't feel like a community. And so I think we both really enjoy that feeling, and I'm looking forward to like becoming a part of the community.
Yeah, even though in the city you're around people all the time, it also just like feels so isolating sometimes.
Because you're not connecting with them. Like you're just kind of, everyone's just kind of like going by each other each day, but you're not like connecting with one another. So it's just this, like this simple way of living where everyone just kind of like knows their neighbors, and everyone probably knows everyone on the island because it's so small, and like everyone just sort of helps each other out. Like I really like that. And you can see on all the islands, like at the community center or like by the ferry, there will be like bulletin boards of just like people, putting calls out to the community for different things, and it's just so nice, like so heartwarming.
Probably my favorite example is something called a car stop. And it's on all the islands. They don't have buses.
There's no public transportation at all, right?
So basically they have these signs up all over the island that it's a designated spot where a pedestrian can just wait there, and if a car driving by wants to pick them up and give them a ride,
and it's like,
they
where
can.
are you going? It's so cute.
It's funny because like hitchhiking has become illegal in so many places, but here they've really embraced it and created a system, and like created a set of guidelines and things like that, and it's just so nice to see.
I know, it's all these things that they just kind of don't happen anymore, so it's almost like going back in time to like a simpler time. I love that. And then the other thing I love so much is on all the Gulf Islands, when you're driving along, anytime you pass another car, it's the most adorable thing. Anytime you pass another car, everyone always waves. Like everyone waves at you. It's so cute, and like we got so into it that we were always like, oh, a car, oh, are you ready to wave? Like it was just, it's so adorable, and like everybody does it. So like you're typically driving and you were like, you mastered like just like even as like a couple fingers, just like a little nod, like an acknowledgement of one another.
It's so heartwarming. It's so every time it happens, it just makes me so happy.
I know.
The very few times that people don't wave back, you're like,
you're not from here and you don't know about this. Like, get with the program. It's just really cute. It's just so different, and I don't know, there's just something about it that I love.
You can't help but just have a smile on your face the whole time. So in terms of what is actually on the Gulf Islands, we talked about them being quite remote, but they all do have services and restaurants and things like that. So the smallest islands, at the very least, have things like a general store, cafes, little shops, artisan stands, and Saturday farmers markets, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the biggest ones are going to have, hotels and more like bigger grocery stores and things like that. And then there's kind of like somewhere in between for some of the other ones. There's wineries, breweries. And the nice thing about the islands too is they're quite close together, so you can either take the ferry or a water taxi or your own boat and kind of zip over, or maybe even a kayak. You could just kayak over to the brewery on one of the other islands and, things like that. So there is a lot within the network of the islands, and you kind of have everything you need there, which is nice.
Yeah, it is nice. I'm sure, like, if we're going back and forth from the city, like, you can, bring things to sort of like stock up in terms of like groceries and things like that, but you do have what you need there. And yeah, like the local Saturday farmers market is so cute. I love the idea of like going and like, supporting like local farmers, local artisans and everything like that. And yeah, you do really have everything that you need. There's no like hospitals in terms of like doctors and stuff. I think maybe there is one like on most of the islands. So there is a lot of stuff that, there's probably like no pharmacy, like things like that. I don't think there's police on any of the islands. There's probably like a fire department and that's it.
Yeah, probably like a volunteer fire department.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things, like it's very different obviously. Yeah. It's very like remote living. But for us, I feel like, we'd have what we would need, and I like the idea of it just being quiet and
So you're probably thinking, for people who have kids, what do they do?
Right.
And there are schools on all the islands. I believe there's like an elementary school on all the islands. And then there's one high school on the biggest island. So all of the kids that are in high school or middle school or high school, they'll take a water taxi over to the biggest island to go to school every day, which is
how cute
so
is
cool.
That? Yeah. I know. I'm sure it's old to them. It's like not that cool, but to me the novelty of that is like so adorable.
Yeah. And there are community centers on all the islands as well. I know that the kids baseball team is a big thing, and everyone always goes to all the different islands to like support the baseball team in the summer.
That's so cute.
There is also a women's softball team, and I'm pretty excited about joining that, making some friends.
That's so cute. Yeah, I'm excited to just become a part of the community and like meet everyone, and we're looking forward to just like going and spending some time there. So if you haven't seen our other videos in terms of like what our plans are, we'll link some of them here and you can go watch. But we did a video all about sort of what our building plans are, and a video about just sort of what we think we might start with. And all of that. But we're getting really excited, and hopefully that gives you a bit more of an idea of just like what the islands are like and why we decided to buy there.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any other questions, leave them in the comments and we will happily address them in another video or write you back. And but there will be more videos coming on the property. There's lots to update you on, and it's just been a fun little journey for us so far.
Definitely. Hopefully you've been enjoying all of this property content. Please subscribe to our channel to catch all the future videos on properties and travel and everything else we're putting out there.
Yeah, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave us a comment, say hey, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.